Today's review is on the Mattel Batman Unlimited Dark Knight Returns Batman figure. Here's your close-up view of him from the front. Let's take him all the way around from the side. That really nicely sculpted cape from the back. All the way back to the front. So there he is. And again, there'll be links in the info section for close-up views of this figure after, if you want to go check them out after the review. Or if you want to play the review while you're looking at them, that'll be an option too at the different links. But for now, let's take the figure over to the couch and have the review. Hey everybody, welcome to
DC Action Features.
No, it's sort of weird. It's kind of an actionfeatures.net meets MOTUC-figures.com video spotlight, Toy Talk review thing. I'm going to try and do both intros. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and do MOTUC figures opening, and then that little thing where we're going to show the figure, and then an action features opening, and then into this.
What about the He-Man one?
Oh, it'll be that. That's what you said. MOTUC figures. That's what you said. Because it kind of combines MOTUC figures parts, and it could be put in the MOTUC line. And that is the new Mattel Dark Knight Returns Batman, based on the classic Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns story. Hey, that's copyrighted. Don't go too far.
Oh no.
So this is based on the classic Dark Knight Returns 4-part storyline where we see Batman come out of retirement to kind of fight some old foes and get rid of some old demons type of thing. And now Mattel in their Batman Unlimited line has produced a Dark Knight Returns Batman.
I might get that sometime soon.
What, this figure?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great figure. I'm really, really loving this figure. This isn't the first time. Oh, go ahead.
You need to get that hardcover back for Mike.
I will. Mike, if you're watching this, finish the Dark Knight Returns hardcover and return it to me, please. He told me the other day that he was trying to finish it, but as soon as he finishes it, I'll bring it back, and you can read it. And there's also the Blu-ray 2-parter, which I think you could handle.
I could.
I think you could.
Good.
I mean, not Keaton, but I think you could probably handle it. But anyway, let's talk about the figure.
Right.
So in Batman Unlimited, Mattel is kind of just doing different Batmans, I guess. They go into retail stores. Watch your legs there. Okay. And this one is the only one I've picked up so far because I love Dark Knight Returns. It's my favorite.
I bet it's the only one you're gonna pick up.
It's probably the only one I'm going to pick up.
Unless they made a Keaton Batman, which they probably won't.
They probably won't, but so far it's just this one. I love Dark Knight Returns. It's my favorite comic storyline of all time. And I think this figure is a great blending of He-Man parts, which is why we're doing this sort of as MOTUC figures, and new parts to create a Frank Miller style. The packaging is got a nice shot of the Carey Kelly Robin and Frank Miller Batman type on the back, and it gives a rundown of the storyline, and then sort of some images of maybe some other Batmans.
You know, I bet Tim Drake was like more of a regular adult age at that time.
Well, Tim Drake hadn't even been invented by the time this storyline happened, so let's jump into the figure, though. The reason he's a MOTUCfigures.com spotlight too is because he reuses a lot of He-Man parts.
Most of them.
Yeah, when we first saw this figure prototyped, everybody was like, "Oh, it's just a straight up He-Man reuse," but it's not. It has the arms, the upper shoulder, and the biceps of a MOTUC figure.
Right.
And I think maybe tweaked hands from a MOTUC figure. They kind of look like MOTUC hands. And he's got the legs and the upper shin of a MOTUC figure. But other than that, maybe underneath the rubbery underwear piece, maybe that's MOTUC parts under there. Other than that, it's actually new parts. The boots are new, the chest is new, and of course the head sculpt and cape and all that stuff's new.
Kind of like an Arcarius type thing with the rubbery underwear. Not but is it made out of the same material?
It feels like maybe it's a little thicker than Arcarius's though. But it has all the same joints and everything. I've got a Spector standing here. It's got all the same joints as a MOTUC figure because it borrows heavily from that line. I almost think that they could have borrowed completely from that line. Other than the fact that the MOTUC figures have nipples kind of sculpted on, you could have just totally used that. It almost seems like a waste that they sculpted a new torso for him when they had a perfectly good torso here. If we're already reusing MOTUC figure parts for this, why not just go the whole 9? Toyguru came out and made a... Well, he came out and made a statement about how, oh, don't worry, we didn't reuse the torso. But I don't think anybody was complaining and said, don't reuse that torso. I think everybody was fine with it.
Here's what people are complaining about. Remake of Stinkor.
Oh, yeah, Stinkor needs to be redone. Let's talk about what all is going on here. So, you all know the MOTUC articulation. We don't need to go too far into that. The newly sculpted pieces, like these gloves, have the little tiny fins on it, just like is drawn in the Frank Miller art. It's got a Frank Miller stylized head, which could be a bit better.
Right.
This isn't the first time a company has done Dark Knight Returns figures. No. DC Direct did they did 4 different releases, and I think maybe they captured the Frank Miller look a little better than this. This is almost a cartoony version.
Like the cartoon animated.
Kind of like the new animated 2-part film.
Oh, it's new? I thought it was like a little bit older.
No, it's brand new.
Oh.
It's brand new. It's quite good too. Anybody that hasn't seen the Dark Knight Returns animated part 1 and 2, you need to see it. It's so good. So like I said, it's sort of a stylized, almost animated look to the head.
Right.
It's not quite as good of a Frank Miller likeness as I think as DC Direct got, but still quite good for mass market. Really nice sculpting on the belt and the underwear piece. It's just all one solid piece. It's got all those little crazy pouches that Frank Miller draws. The boots are also really nice. They got sort of a flattened front area. It's got tread sculpted underneath it. Really cool. I think one of the nicest things, though, is this cape. It's a real thick material. It feels almost kind of rough and flat. I love this cape. I think they did a bang-up job of doing a Frank Miller-style cape, and it looks good hanging on the figure. I love the way... Yeah, go ahead.
You know why I want a Batman like that?
What's that?
I don't have a single gray and black, so I gave the one that me and Kian shared, so Kian could have one.
Oh, so you need to get one of these.
Yeah.
I love the way the black bat is across the chest, too.
I think bigger.
Yeah. Well, in Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, they did both the oval symbol and the straight black bat.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I'm really glad for this figure they chose the straight black bat.
You
I'm also
like that
glad...
better?
Yeah, I do. My tattoo is the black bat. I also like the fact that they chose the black and gray over the blue and gray that's used in there. I really like black and gray Batman better than the blue and gray Batman. I love this release. I think he's a great figure. Oh, he also comes with a Batarang, which I probably have lost by now.
You know what I like more than anything?
Little Batarang to fit in his hand. What's that?
That DC line where they made the whole black one. That kind of reminds me of the Michael Keaton suit. The whole.
It kind of does. Yeah, I remember that figure. This figure is great for just a Dark Knight Returns fan, or if you want to put a cool Batman in with your MOTUC figures that kind of makes sense for style-wise. This is the kind of things they should have done in the DC. Sit back, bud. The DC versus MOTUC 2-packs. Reuse the MOTUC bodies and make DC characters with them.
Right.
This would have been awesome. Like a Superman like this, because Superman appears in the storyline. I still have hopes that maybe they will do a Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns Superman with MOTUC parts, so you can have a true MOTUC Superman.
Alright.
I would buy any characters that kind of make sense to have this build and put in with MOTUC. I would buy
Riddler and Joker?
I don't know. Riddler didn't appear in it.
I thought he went out to stop Riddler.
No, Riddler's not in the book.
Oh.
Nope. Two-Face and Joker.
Oh, would you want Two-Face?
Well, that wouldn't make sense to reuse MOTUC parts for Two-Face. It would really just Batman and Superman that would make the most sense. And other kind of bulkier DC characters like Lobo would make sense to use a MOTUC body.
Right.
Things like that. But I really like it, and I like the way it can interact with He-Man figures. I think it's really cool. You know, we read the bios on the MOTUC ones. Should we read this?
Yeah.
All right. Real name, Bruce Wayne.
No duh.
Come on. Mattel, you can't come up with anything more original than Bruce Wayne? Goodness. Occupation, CEO, crime fighter. Location, Gotham City. Powers, abilities, skills. Martial arts expert, master detective, vast arsenal of weapons and gadgets.
Fine so far.
It has been 10 years since the mysterious Batman last cast a shadow in the crime-riddled Gotham City, and aging Bruce Wayne has hung up his cape and crime-fighting career due to the passing of Robin, Jason Todd. In Gotham City's dystopian landscape, the Cold War still rages on, and most masked heroes have been forced into hiding or retirement as a result of suspicious and unforgiving public. But with a ruthless street gang causing chaos in the streets, and several of his nemeses returning to prominence, Wayne has no choice but to suit up as the Dark Knight once again. I love this bio. I think it's perfect. It totally explains the Dark Knight Returns storyline. Terry Kelly Robin.
Did you buy it?
Well, I have the DC Direct one fits fine. So I'm fine with the DC Direct Joker and Terry Kelly Robin, and even the Superman I think look fine. If they do a Mattel Superman, I will get it. I do prefer this to the DC Direct version of Batman.
Right.
While I said the head sculpt is better, I think the fact that he's kind of stuck in a stance makes him, I don't know, look weird compared to the other ones. Whereas the straight up and down of this, I think will look fine with the DC Direct other three. And they actually just re-released them in a 4-pack, like we talked about before.
Right.
So you can kind of pull that Batman out and stick this one in, and you've got a really good Dark Knight Returns line. That's it. I highly recommend him for both the MOTUC people and for the Batman people. I think he's a cool figure. You think he's a cool figure too. And $16. Way better than the $27 of MOTUC nowadays. And I'm not complaining too much. I'm trying not to harp on the MOTUC line and its prices too much. But when you can get this guy out at $16, it feels great to buy him at $16. And I wish that they could get other things out this cheap. But what can you do?
Yeah.
Mass market versus online only. So that's it. So we'll see you guys next time. Good journey, and see you guys next time.
And I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. Later.